Thanks, Ned, blah, 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 smarmy response, blah, blah, disingenuous, blah, blah, 7 minutes of blah, filth, blah, blah, toilet humour, blah, nicked Clive James, a delivery, blah.
This is Tripoli. Get the oxyacetylene torch. I don't want more trolleys. No!
It's midnight outside my local branch of Sainsbury's.
That's all you've got to do. Weld them together.
I'm indulging in my favourite nocturnal pursuit, that of hammering and welding pairs of supermarket trolleys together. Nothing gives me greater pleasure than standing outside the entrance next morning, watching embarrassed customers, especially arthritic and feeble old ladies, vainly struggling to separate them.
Go on, hammer.
Oh, no, sick in the mind, doll. Sick.
I wonder why I couldn't pull those trolleys apart. I used to think they was mating.
Yes, so did I. I used to throw a bleeding bucket of water over them, otherwise they intercourse and have little illegitimate trolleys they do.
Oh no, don't say illegitimate. Call them what they are. They're little baskets.
Meanwhile, back in the supermarket.
Attention, please. Could anyone in the supermarket tell me why all tannoy announcers speak at the speed of stroke victims and alternate between F and B flat and sometimes B flat to F? Come to the checkout now, thank you.
After giving the tannoy girl a good old-fashioned sing to, I explained to her why supermarket tills are called checkouts. It's because there are always 15-mile queues of customers writing checks out.
Please, leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Oh, he spoils it. His jokes as old as the eels. They're as old as the eels. You're right. He's rubbish. He's good for nothing. Good for nothing. His only achievement in life is turning good food into shit.
Oh, blue pencil. Blue pencil now.
I've said it.
Blue pencil.
I've said it.
Yes, Mum, it's feeble jokes of the checkout caliber that have made him a past tense sort of a guy. Yes, media-wise, he's a bygone, which is why he presents his dyslexic A to Z of bygones this week, starting with the letter H. Bygone number 1. H is for gonks, one at fairgrounds. Gonks, one at Feline sociologists have often remarked that in the 1970s, when many fairgrounds closed down, the cat population suddenly boomed. Why? Gonks, that's why. These furry semi-spherical toys were given away as prizes by friendly Didikoy folk who ran the hoopla stall.
Little boy has won the prize, sir. Here is your gong. Thank you.
But these gonks always had a strange pungent smell about them. This was because their constitution was 20% cardboard tube, 10% shredded Daily Herald, 5% plastic beacon eyes, and 65% dead cat. If it rained at the fair, and it always did, the bright orange dye washed away, revealing a gonk that was either tabby, tortoiseshell, or ginger Tom. Ironically, children whose own family cat had mysteriously disappeared when the fair came to town would console themselves by hugging, sucking, licking, and fondling their newly won gonk.
Daddy!
Yes, dear?
His head smells all funny!
Oh, dear.
Little suspecting that their own beloved pet had returned to them trans-mockerified, and that their tongues fell upon interesting furry gaping apertures formerly used for expelling excess kitty cat. Bygone number 2, M is for Dickie Valentine. M is for Dickie Valentine.
Luck be your lady tonight!
A popular crooner of the 1950s, Mr. Dickie Valentine's last hit but one was the song Luck Be a Lady Tonight, which he sang as his final encore at a nightclub only an hour before stepping into his car.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, Dickie.
Thank you. I just love your Birmingham.
Luck be your lady tonight. Oh, my.
For his final hit, a tree at 150 miles per hour.
Luck be your lady tonight.
Bygone number 3, L is for Skippy the Bush Kangaroo. Skippy the Bush Kangaroo.
Skippy the Bush Kangaroo.
Look, everyone, it's Skippy the Bush Kangaroo. Dinkum, hello, Skippy.
Skippy the Bush Kangaroo was a marsupial entertainer of the genus Macropus, who came a cropper in the late 1960s, and whose programs were so bad that not even Channel 4 are repeating them in their 5 p.m. graveyard slot.
Stomach, that's what I got. I've got a crook stomach. What's that you're saying, Skip? They're robbing the bank down at Wallamaloo? What's that, Skip? You say the leader of the gang's a white male Caucasian, age 33, called Morris the Mauler, with the inside leg measurement of 34 inches? Dinkum, Skip. Well, I've just told the flying police on me walkie-talkie they'll be banged to rights by lunchtime. By the way, Skip, can you foretell the future? Well, Skip, today in 1967 you're Australia's leading TV star, but in 1969 your series will be axed. Skippy, do you know how long kangaroos live for? Well, for about 3 weeks after their series is axed. Then the studio will send you on a free transfer to the Rin Tin Tin Dog Meat Company. Cobber?
Rin Tin Tin, dog meat food, 100% kangaroo.
Bygone number 4, D is for the phrase, cancer isn't a word to be afraid of these days. Cancer isn't a word to be... The phrase, cancer isn't a word to be afraid of these days, was often uttered by healthy friends and relatives of people waiting for the results of cancer tests.
Oh, Christ.
Don't worry, no, it's not worth being afraid of these days.
Really? Is that
Yeah, they can cure anything these days.
Do you think so?
Yeah, don't want to have a great.
Oh, where do you think so?
However, looking dispassionately at the facts, cancer has pretty well wiped out over a third of the world's population over the past decade, and consequently I'm forced to demur and conclude that cancer is something to be very afraid of indeed. Sorry, but there it is. Sorry. Bygones number 5. L is for unstable babies on bicycles. Unstable babies. Not very long ago, some Schadenfreude invented kiddie stabilizer wheels which can be fitted to the rear of a child's bike, thus making it possible for the infant to remain in a vertical position even on a long journey to the shops.
Look, Mummy, no hands! Look, Mummy! Be careful!
Sadly, no longer can be heard the exquisite sound of meaty young flesh slapping against the pavement. Followed by an infinitely long moment where the only sound was that of the rear wheel spinning. Followed by an hilarious, plangent, ear-splitting scream. And tears from the child who'd been irritatingly happy until that moment.
BBC management would like to make very clear that the last item was utterly... oh, what the hell? Trying to defend the previous outpouring would be tantamount to rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. We return you to your programme.
Bygone number 6. J is for napalm. J is for...
Take this, you slant-eyed mother...
Napalm was a popular American product which kind-hearted GIs would drop gratis and free from helicopters onto the residents of Vietnam, dished out much as were chewing gum and fancy silk stockings during WW2. However, the typically ungrateful Asian peoples resented the gift, whinging on about it causing skin rashes, and eventually the good-natured Yanks decided to teach these gooks a lesson by not sending them any more. Bygone number 7. Z is for the invalid car. The invalid. Like Henry Ford's Model T, the invalid car came in a choice of one colour, known in the trade as nauseous turquoise. Battery-operated, doing 0 to 2 miles an hour in an impressive 15 minutes, operated by a single joystick, the whole design based on a World War II fighter pilot cockpit had made a trip to Tesco's as dangerous for everyone on the road as a bombing raid on Hamburg.
Hello! I'm gonna crash!
It was withdrawn out of spite in the 1970s, I suspect because the British nation hate to see the infirm enjoying themselves and their independence. Sadly, the fine British peoples react to the disabled in the same way that they react to spiders. Okay when motionless in the corner, but bloody frightening when suddenly moving unpredictably at a high speed. Bygones Part 2 next week. In the meantime, back to the final bygone, Ned Sherin.